You promised bull market action. Bull market action we've had. The indices are far higher now. Funny you referenced 1987. That was a very good year for you. Then in the background, people can say you were the mutual fund manager of the year. Quite an
Thank you.
accomplishment. Milton, what were the buy signals you saw in the market? How have they evolved into January and now February 2026? And what have you made of the recent market action? Are you seeing any sell signals?
Okay, I'm going to get back to what our projections are. Now, we don't trade based on projections. We trade based on turning points. April was a major turning point for the market, and we pounded the table. Basically, we don't always pound the table. We pounded the table, buy, and I'll tell you exactly why. Now, this chart was the first of 88 buy signals we received. We received this buy signal April 4th of 2025. I say it's the first of 88 because our retail newsletter only gets the first signal. And we say you buy now when you hold till we tell you to sell. Institutions are constantly comforted. They give more confirmations and they see many of the signals we get. But this was the first signal we saw on April 4th. It was the day before the low. On that day, the NASDAQ 5-day volume was at a 200-day high. On that day, NASDAQ had declined 7% over the last 3 days. And the VXN, which is the VIX on the NASDAQ 100 rather than the VIX on the S&P 500, gained 10% for at least 2 days in a row. And this is a very rare occurrence. We're looking for rare occurrences. In other words, we're not looking at moving averages and looking at what the Fed is doing and what the Fed is saying and the money supply. We're looking for rare occurrences that take place at market turning points. And on this day, April 4th, you had these three rare occurrences, which I just mentioned. This actually occurred in the past. It occurred in October 8th, 1998. August 5th, 2024, and August 24th, 2015. And the gains, the maximum gains within a year of those signals was 47%, 15.6%, and 23.2%. So far, the April 4th signal through the closing high on January 27th of this year, it's gained 37.53%. So it's outperformed two of the historical precedents. It's underperformed one of the precedents of 47%. However, we're measuring 1 year out. We're looking at the maximum gains within 1 year. For all I know, we'll be up 47% by April 4th of 2026. So this was the first signal we got. However, I want to talk about projections. Why did we project to our clients? Now, again, we don't trade based on projections, but projections are very important. Important because if you get a buy signal, it would only, and historically, the median gain after that buy signal was 5%. It really doesn't pay to trade it because, you just with the slippage and with it just doesn't pay. So we look at the historical returns based on the signal and tell you what the market would do if we follow the historical returns. And it's very helpful for us. So what we did is, for this chart for you guys, I actually created this for you. We broke up our signals by day. So on April 4th, we actually had two signals. I showed you one of them. And based on the signals we had on April 4th, the median maximum gain before the market declined 10%. In other words, how far did the market gain before it declined the next 10%? So the median was 60 to 67.57 relative. We're using percentage gains relative to where we started off on April 4th. And the projection on average would be 71.52. Our maximum high to date on the closing basis was 69.78.60. So based on this alone, there's more to the upside, you see, before the market sees a 10% correction. That was April 4th. On April 7th, we had a number of signals as well, and that projects it to either 72.91 or 77.51. Again, the market could go much higher based on those projections. On April 8th, we had more signals with many more historical backups to the signal, many more historical precedents, and that projected to between 71.28 as a median, 67.28 as an average, and we've actually exceeded that by closing at the level we closed at was 69.78.60. We've exceeded the average of previous returns. April 9th, we had many signals. I think we had about 40 signals on April 9th itself. We had many historical precedents for these signals. Each of these instances that says historical signal is an actual historical date of the signal. So what signal on April 9th signal looks like 30 or 40 times in the past. And these 57 signals generated April 9th project to between 74.87 or 79.21 before the next decline of 10%. And we're only at 69.78.60. Now, again, I don't trade based on projections. I just give the clients, this is institutional work. The retailer will not see this kind of work, but we tell them how far the market would go if it just gains the median gain or just gains the average gain based on the previous signals.